Peaked off-road motorcycle riding helmets look cool, but do you actually need one? Nah. I'm the Dork in the Road, and this is episode 2 of my ADV myth-busting series. Today we're going to tackle one of the most pervasive myths in the world of ADV and dual sport riding, and that is, do you need a ADV-style peaked helmet to ride a motorcycle, ride a dual sport or adventure bike off-road? And the short answer is no, but the long answer is it's complicated. Maybe? At the end of the day, the primary purpose of a helmet is to protect your noggin. So any helmet, so long as it's ECE or Snell rated, will protect your noggin if you fall off of your motorcycle on the street, off-road, whatever. Any helmet is better than no helmet, and while there are some advantages to off-road helmets, being safer is not necessarily one of them. So if you have a street helmet already and you want to get into off-road riding, but you're not doing it because you don't have the right gear, you don't need a fancy helmet to go ride off-road. So what's the point of an ADV helmet? Where did they come from? Well, a long time ago, an MX helmet and a street helmet fell in love. Things happened. We won't show that part. And the hybrid cross between these two helmets, the ADV helmet, was born. The ADV helmet keeps the peak, the long chin bar, and the wide eyeport of the MX helmet, but adds the street-friendly, highway speed-friendly visor and a few other creature comforts like different types of venting, closable vents from the street helmet. And the idea is that it can go between the two, and it does and it can, but you don't have to have it to ride off-road. This visor on the top of your helmet has two purposes. One, it's a sun visor. That's obvious. If you're riding into the sun and you tilt your head down, you can block out the sun and still see the road, the trail, whatever, particularly if you forgot your sunglasses. That literally came in handy for me on the camping trip I got back from yesterday because I forgot to take sunglasses because it's winter, but then it was clear on the coast, so I had to use the visor to block the sun. The other purpose is to block roost, and that comes from MX helmets. So if you're riding closely behind someone who is spinning their tire, or even just riding on a gravel road with knobby tires, stuff flies up. And so that visor is nice because you can tilt your head down like this, and you see how now your face is protected? The visor will block any rocks or debris coming your way. So if you ride behind aggressive people a lot, closely behind them, that visor could be really handy for that roost blocking. If you ride by yourself, or you just stay a reasonable distance behind people, or you're not getting anything super aggressive and difficult, or you don't ride with Tim who likes to roost you any chance he gets, you may not need a visor. Fortunately, they make a lot of these helmets. In fact, all three of these here, the visor can be removed. So you can get the other advantages of the helmet without dealing with the visor. The peak on the helmet does also have disadvantages. It catches the wind. So it's noisy when you're riding on the highway. You can see there's various different types of approaches to putting holes in it to make it vent wind a little better in the various helmets. And also catches wind and pulls your head one way or the other. So if you turn your head while you're riding at highway speed, it will catch it and pull it, and you're fighting that to a degree. And on a dual sport or something with less wind protection, you do notice it. It is fatiguing. Also, a weird disadvantage to the peak is if you have a transitions lens, that is one that changes in the sunlight. Because of the holes in the visor, sometimes the sun will hit it unevenly and you'll get these weird patches, so it won't be all the same color, the same level of sun blocking, because sunlight will come through some, but the rest of it's in the shade. So minor issue, but something to be aware of. Beyond the peak, though, there are other advantages to a peaked helmet, and a big one is goggles. So the wider eye port means it is easy to fit a pair of goggles inside your helmet. Couple advantages to that. One, very much increased airflow. So if you're riding at slow speeds and you want maximum airflow, if you're out taking on trails or just stopping and starting a lot or on uneven terrain, basically anytime you're not on the highway, the airflow through the open face mask sure is nice, but obviously you can't just be staring into the wind and rain and whatever, so you need something over your eyes. So I like to wear goggles, and my favorite setup is actually these quick straps. I took the strap off of these goggles and I've just got the quick strap. I just put it in there, Velcro it on the other side, I'm good to go. And when I don't need it, I just flip it around the back side of my helmet and store it on there so I can go back and forth without getting off the bike. It's really nice. Another goggle option is these glasses style goggles. That'll get you a lot of airflow, but still keep your eyes protected. Obviously, the wider eye port gives you a better field of view. These helmets also have a longer chin bar, right? So the front inside of your helmet is not like up against your mouth, or if you have facial hair, my beard's always rubbing on it in a street helmet. And if you're a motovlogger or you want to put a microphone in there, That's a huge advantage. It gives you a lot more room to do that without breathing directly into it. But the longer chin bar has disadvantages too. One, there's more room for air to flow up underneath, so it's going to be colder, you're going to get more airflow, and it's going to be louder than a street helmet where it's more compact and there's less area here. You can get a chin skirt, there's ways to get around that, but just know it makes it so there's more wind coming up into your helmet. The chin bar can also help with fogging because there's just more room for your breath to escape than in a street helmet where you're effectively breathing right on the inside of the visor, so that's problematic. There are some off-road helmets that are specifically designed with features that help mitigate the types of crashes we get into at slow speeds. MIPS is a big one. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time explaining MIPS, but basically it's a membrane that goes in between your foam and your helmet and the liner that allows it to shift rotationally, which is far more common in low-speed impacts, and it can help prevent concussions and things like that. And it's super cheap. You can find MIPS in low-end helmets, so I highly recommend looking for MIPS. You can also find that in street helmets. It's particularly effective for us off-road, so look for a helmet that has MIPS. MIPS, it's an acronym. So if you're spending a lot of time on the street and occasionally riding a gravel road, you know, you'll do 80% of your time on the highway and then 20% up a gravel road to a campsite, something like that. Maybe a street helmet is a better choice. Or at the very least, one of these ADV helmets, but you just take the visor off. But if you're riding a lot at slower speeds and want the airflow and flexibility of goggles, or you need a roost guard, or the sun visor appeals to you, then an ADV helmet might be a good one for you to consider. Now, things to keep in mind. Any helmet will protect your noggin, it is true, but I highly, highly, highly recommend that you look for a helmet that is ECE or SNELL rated, because the DOT rating is a joke. There's so much variability within it. I won't explain all that. There's a really good Fortnite video that you can check out that explains it, but I don't really trust helmets that are only DOT rated unless they come from a reputable company that I am aware of or something. But for the most part, we look for that ECE, that SNELL rating, because it's a little bit higher standard. Make sure any helmet that you buy is less than 5 years old. Helmets do have a shelf life. The EPS foam inside the helmet will wear out and become less effective, and that is dangerous if you get into a crash. And also make sure that your helmet has not been involved in a crash at all or a drop, anything like that, because if the foam gets compressed inside, it becomes less effective and you're essentially wearing a plastic bucket on your head. Beyond that, wear the helmet that makes the most sense to you. If you're looking for some recommendations for a good ADV helmet, I've got 3 here that I really love. This is the Bell MX-9. This is the least expensive ECE rated ADV helmet that I have seen or used. I wore this particular one for 3 years, I think. Loved it, great helmet. If you want a modular helmet, the convenience of being able to open the chin bar, but still having that ADV design, the Scorpion 18950 is a great choice, and the 18960 is coming out. That's a great helmet, and it's the least expensive modular ADV helmet I've seen. There are, like Schuberth makes one, but it is, I don't know, 5 times as much. It's crazy expensive, and if you want to go a little bit higher end, you can go with the Climb Krios or the Climb Krios Pro. This is the Krios, the regular Krios. The Pro comes with the Transitions lens and a few other things, but this has been my helmet for a couple years now. It's been great. Plenty of great options out there. Shop around, make sure it's ECE rated, find one that fits your head shape, that's important, and go from there. So to answer the question, do you need a peaked helmet to ride off-road? No, you don't. They look cool and they have some advantages, but is it absolutely necessary? 100% no. And how do I know? Because the OG himself, Tyler Everide, made a video on the same topic a while ago, and you should check that out if you haven't watched it. I will link it for you. Tyler's the man. He's a huge inspiration to me, and his insight is invaluable. Did you know I have a full playlist of videos for new ADV and dual sport riders, hints, tips, and tricks to help you get started and learn and improve your skills? Over 11 hours of content in that playlist, which I will link for you up here and in the description below. So check it out, binge it, learn, live, laugh, enjoy, I hope. I don't know. Just check out that playlist. Hopefully there's some good information in there for you if you're interested in this type of content. Please consider subscribing for future ADV myth-busting videos and other hints, tips, and tricks for ADV and dual sport riders, because I want to be your internet riding buddy, and I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I come with a mute button. Like the video if you haven't, and please, of course, do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!